So listen to this. My husband is my father's father. Now that sounds weird, right? Almost like it makes no sense. But for one woman, that one sentence, it was the perfect way to describe a lifetime of pain she just couldn't seem to escape.
Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're diving into a really personal story that came out of a spiritual healing session. It's all about trying to understand the roots of a pattern that was just baffling and incredibly painful. So let's get right into it.
Okay, so this story centers on a woman from Haryana in India. And she just felt completely suffocated. Imagine this. She was trapped in this identical pattern of being controlled and accused of things she never did. First, it was her father. And then, in the most crushing way possible, it was the man she married. You know, the very freedom she was hoping to find in marriage. It just turned into another cage.
And when you look at the details, the parallels are just, wow, they're uncanny. Her dad would keep her stuck at home, and he'd call her characterless for something as simple as standing on the roof. Then she gets married, and her husband starts accusing her of being promiscuous just for talking to his own relatives. Her father watched her every move. Her husband? He twisted reality, blamed his own issues on her, and spread these horrible rumors. It was literally the exact same nightmare, just with a different person.
And listen, this wasn't some slow burn kind of thing. The whole situation was so toxic, so intense, that the marriage completely imploded in just 2 months. 2 months! It got so unbearable that she had no choice but to leave and run, right back to the very home she'd been so desperate to escape in the first place. So you gotta ask, right? What on earth was going on here? Why was this exact same painful pattern playing out again with such devastating precision? To try and find some answers, she decided to do a past life regression session. She was really hoping it could help her find the true source of all this torment. So in that first regression, she slips into a past life, and the first layer of this whole mystery starts to unfold, and it gave her a really shocking clue. But as we're about to find out, it definitely wasn't the whole story.
Okay, so picture this. In that past life, she had eloped with a man she was deeply in love with. They ran away to a temple in Jaipur to get married. But then, after he got her there, he just left, vanished, never came back. She was totally alone, and in that time, she'd brought so much shame to her family. So she ended up spending the rest of her life, all the way until she was 80 years old, living in that very temple, just a life of service filled with heartbreak.
And this is where the first pieces of the puzzle click into place. The lover who abandoned her? That was the soul of her current husband. And the father who was so shamed by her running away? The soul of her current father. Now that explained her father's crazy controlling behavior. His soul was still carrying that trauma, that sense of dishonor. But it left this massive question mark. Her spiritual guide told her that the lover, her now husband, genuinely loved her back then. So why would he just leave her like that?
So, the mystery wasn't solved, not even close. The guide explained that the real reason for what he did, it was hidden even farther back, in an even earlier lifetime. The real story, the actual root cause of all this pain, was buried one layer deeper. So they went for a second regression, this time going even deeper. And this is where it all comes out. The ultimate mystery is finally solved, and it reveals this one act of betrayal that kicked this whole painful cycle into gear centuries and centuries ago. The question was still the same, but the answer was about to change absolutely everything. Why? Why would a soul that truly loves you over and over again abandon you right at the moment of commitment?
The answer didn't come from a guide. It came from her own memory, from a life long before she was an abandoned bride. And her own voice, in that session, just said it plain and simple. I pushed him off the cliff.
It turns out, in that even earlier life, she was the one who betrayed him. She was in this loving relationship with a simple dairy farm boy. He absolutely adored her, and he was just about to propose. But she had gotten a crush on this other guy, a charming officer. And to get out of the commitment so she could chase this new infatuation, she did something unthinkable. On the very day he was going to ask her to marry him, she murdered him, pushed him right off a cliff.
And with that, bam, all the pieces just snapped into place. That one single violent act of betrayal, it's like it created this deep energetic wound, a karmic imprint that has been echoing through every life they've had together since.
Suddenly, the connections were crystal clear. The devoted lover she murdered, that's her current husband. Their souls are just locked in this pattern of betrayal and abandonment. The father whose honor she destroyed, that's her current father, and they're stuck repeating a cycle of shame and control. And get this, that fleeting crush, the officer, he's back too, as a new guy she met online who is basically a potential distraction from her doing the real work.
So this is the heart of their dynamic. His soul is still drawn to her. It really does love her. But every single time they get close to a major commitment, like marriage, that energetic memory, that trauma of her betrayal, gets triggered deep inside him. And he gets hit with this overwhelming, totally inexplicable urge to run, to abandon her, before she can abandon or destroy him again.
Okay, now it is so important to understand this. Knowing this backstory is not about justifying abuse. It is not an excuse to stay in a toxic situation, not at all. This knowledge is the key to finally breaking the cycle. Her guide gave her some really clear steps to shift from this mindset of blame and being a victim to one of real, genuine empowerment.
Step 1. Let go of the victim mentality. Realize that yes, she was a victim in this life, but her soul had also played the role of perpetrator. This isn't about feeling guilty, it's about taking ownership of her own spiritual path. 2. Now that she understands the pattern, she has the power to consciously choose to break it. 3. She was told to steer clear of that new guy, the officer's soul, because he's just a karmic distraction. And finally, number 4, and this is the big one, she has to stop looking to these men to make her happy and find her own purpose.
And the guide's final message was just completely direct. Your path is not with them. Your purpose is something else. Her healing, her future, it's not about trying to fix these broken karmic relationships. It's about creating her own path, an independent one, totally separate from all these cycles of pain.
And really, this whole story leaves us with a pretty powerful question for our own lives, doesn't it? You know, when we're facing those same challenges over and over, those painful patterns, especially in our relationships, maybe the key isn't just pointing the finger and blaming the other person or the situation. Maybe the real path to freedom is about looking deeper, about trying to understand the part our own energy might be playing in the cycles we find ourselves in. What could we learn about ourselves if we actually did that?